Alrighty boys, so slow moving vehicle here is ready to get back on the road. So I put the bed back on, I got the bed liner back in, took out all the triple turbo stuff like the brackets and everything. Everything's back together, took out the scavenge pump, basically just put everything back to normal. I do have a tonneau cover for it, but the tonneau cover didn't come with any brackets, so I'll have to get like the little mounting clamp things, and then I'm going to put a tonneau cover over the back of it. Kind of hard to see, but the battery relocation went very well. I didn't have to trim anything, I just ended up putting it in the right spot the first time, so that was pretty sweet. Got some nice big fatty wires there. So it does actually crank pretty good. There's no hesitation or anything. I got all the wiring for the Terminator X Max underneath the carpet here. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it there or move it, but that's just kind of temporary. It's a little tough to get the SD card out because I have to twist it. I did run my old O2 sensor for the gauge over to here. I'm going to put another bung in over on this side, so then I'll be able to have driver's side wideband and passenger bank wideband. And then I'm just going to run this one up to the gauge over there, so I'll be able to see the differences. So that'll be kind of cool. I did fix this seam right here because this was catching. So this, if you guys don't know the history on this truck, I did have Lambo doors on this thing when I was like 17 years old. So I cut out all the fender support to weld on the brackets there, and then it was all cut off and removed. This fender is really flimsy and it was catching on the door. So finally got that situated to where it doesn't catch anymore, and I can actually open up the door and have a passenger again. So that is nice. Twin turbo setup all in there. So I had to redo all of this wiring, remove the battery. The battery was right here. I still have to loom a couple things, and I'm still working on like inputs and outputs, so some of this stuff isn't finalized yet. I don't have boost controller set up, so I just have a line going to the bottom of the gates. I am still going to wrap all this stuff, and then I would like to do full exhaust with cutouts, but that's kind of where we're at now. I do have the Sloppy Mechanics plug-and-play alternator flex fuel thingy-dingy wired in. Flex fuel sensor is kind of like just on the frame rail on the return side back towards the tank, so we'll see how that goes. What else do we got? I don't have blow-off valve or intake air temp sensor yet, and still got to clean up, you know, that kind of wiring and all that stuff. But other than that, everything fits. Grill is back on. Still got to put the bottom lights on, but I'm excited to go drive it and see how this new trans cooler is going to work, because the transmission always used to get pretty hot with the one that I had. So that thing should be nice. So I'm going to start it, go drive it. I did make some changes to the tune already. Basically made some changes to the Wizard tune, just stuff that I know that I'm going to want to change. I redid the timing map, and I added like 26% for fuel because it has E85 in the tank right now. So I just started with adding 26%. So yeah, I'm going to go drive it. I don't have power steering hooked up either, so that might suck. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to go drive it, get it warm, make sure the fan actually turns on, and I have that hooked up right. And then I'd like to go just kind of drive it for a while, maybe go drive for like an hour and see how the transmission holds up, how it shifts, and then maybe do some pulls. I don't know what spring is in there. Maybe like 7 pounds or whatever. We'll see. All right, so here we go, maiden voyage. You know, I'll let you hear how it cranks, just so you can hear like how the battery does and everything. Well, this isn't a good example. Okay, stop number 1. Something's not right at all. It almost seems like one whole bank isn't firing. So I'm gonna go look at that, because it was like it was just kind of running like shit, and then I accelerated, and then I heard exhaust really loud out of that side, and then it just stopped. Alright, so let's talk a little bit. So it didn't work at all. So I let it drive it, and it wouldn't shift gears either, and it showed I was cruising like 20 miles an hour, and it showed that I was going like 180 miles an hour, and it wouldn't shift out of first gear, and it ran kind of like crap, which is still kind of running a little rough. But what I did was I loaded the base file back in, just the one with the Wizard, and drove it, and then it shifted gears, and so it showed it wouldn't shift out of gear, out of first. It showed my line temperature was like 230 degrees, and I only drove it a block. And it was showing my speedometer, my speed was like 200 something miles an hour. So what I'm going to try to do now is, so now it just like shifted fine. So now I'm going to go into that other file and see if it's the file that was bad. Because that could be too, maybe, because I did change a couple things in the file. I don't think I changed anything that would make it not shift. But I guess we'll find out. So I'm going to wait my 4 seconds now. Let's see what happens. I didn't really change anything. Now I'm going to go back to that base file, the wizard file. This is goofy, man. This is really goofy. But you heard that when I started, I went like, oh, it revved up really loud. And it sounded like it was firing all cylinders, like good. So it sounds like misfire or some junk. I don't know. Guess you can't win them all, boys. We'll figure it out. It's probably something stupid. Probably doesn't have enough gas in it. It's probably running out of gas. What's that? My gas is pretty low. I should go put gas in it. So now it shows line temp 114. So it's got to be something with that file. Got all the user error figured out. So when I changed that new file, I must have bumped the drop down on 4L80 because I selected it on the wizard, and then when I went in to adjust like the lockup settings and stuff like that, it must have been on the drop down and I bumped it, because when I looked at it I caught it right away. It was on the 4L70, or no, it was on the Ford 4R70 or something. It was on a Ford transmission, so that would make sense why it wasn't doing anything. And then my fan wasn't coming on, and then I ended up wiring the fan to an input and not an output. I was thinking it was the first one on the white wire, it was the gray one. I messed that up. So that's all fixed now. And we got some fresh E85 in here. Almost a full tank of E85. Now let's see what happens. right, so that's how the cookie crumbles, I guess. Not a great first time out, but not terrible either. That's kind of what it's about, I guess, is going out and working out the bugs. You're going to find stuff, you just got to work through it. So I did load the Learn table back in. These are Snake Eater 210s in here, and there isn't a Snake Eater 210 selection on the Terminator X. There's like a Fuel Injector Clinic 2150, so that's probably pretty close. So I'm just using that one right now. So yeah, I'll get some more drive time on it. And there was the coupler that blew off right there. So not too big of a deal. I'm definitely gonna have to heat wrap. Look at this, it's already starting to melt my goods here. So yeah, I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna have to get some like heat resistant wire loom stuff. So this is just stuff we're gonna learn as we go. This stuff's even hot up here. So yeah, I do gotta do a bunch of other stuff yet. So I'm probably gonna loom the wiring going down to the starter. I'm debating now after driving it, taking the power steering off. Kind of setting it up like this, like I have on the Mustang, just without the power steering there. Then I wouldn't have to worry about it. Really wasn't that bad driving it around, knowing that this isn't gonna be like a cruiser daily that's comfortable all the time to drive. It doesn't have air conditioning or anything, so it's capable of heat. It has the heater core hooked up, so yeah, I don't know what direction I want to go with that. So, and I didn't log it, but based on the learning graph, it looks like it hit probably like 15 pounds on there before that thing popped off. So not too bad. It might have just not been tight enough. I'm gonna start rambling and get this video up. 2 running projects. That's a good thing. We got the car and the truck, so now I can pull them all out and clean the garage. And just today's Monday. I would like to go to the track this week with one of them. So we'll see. If I can get this one kind of dialed on the street, I'd be curious to go take it to the track. So I'm done. Have fun.